What would you say to the people that are struggling right now?
I would say that that's human life, which you probably don't want to hear. We're not all happy all of the time. And for me, it's just about if we can gain some peace, just some, all you should be striving for is some peace. And the
Yeah.
first thing you do is really start to love yourself. And that can be really hard when you don't like what you look at, when you can't fit in your clothes, when you're struggling to do your shoes up and you just have no energy. But you
Mm.
must start with just loving yourself like you'd love a small child or like you'd love your best friend. Start with the love. And then just
Mm.
place your hand on your heart space and just try and reconnect your heart, your mind, and your body, and just start sending some love. And then just take each day as it comes. Like I was 54 when I started this journey. I was 54 and 115 pounds overweight. Okay. So anything is possible.
Welcome back to the Dana Grant Show, where we are focused on heart-centered conversations. And I have someone in the house today that's going to blow your mind. 30 years of being in law enforcement, and now she is like a Reiki master, breathwork champion, cold water plunger. She has built a business now on health and wellness, and you're going to want to lean in and hear her story. Welcome, Jennifer Bailey-Hobbs, to the house.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah,
Absolutely
we,
delighted.
yeah. And happy birthday. Your birthday was yesterday, so I'm just going to say happy birthday. Got fire in the house too. Got some Aries in the house. We met a long time ago. We connected, not even met. This is our first time meeting. Connected years ago on social media, and our energy just always stayed connected. And lo and behold, I did not know you were a burnout police officer of 30 years just in the struggle. I felt the struggle, didn't know the details, but we're gonna share all the deets today. Take us back to where you were before you made these, I mean, magnificent and really big changes in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think probably in the year 2000, which is going back a bit now,
Yeah.
when my marriage broke down, actually, and I had a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I was a young police officer, very, very ambitious. And then suddenly I just had to, my whole life just flipped around. And then I found this just inner power, just knowing that I can do whatever I want to do. My life is not going to change just because my relationship's broken down. I'm going to be everything to everybody. But over
Mm.
10 years, I had terrible back. And I had 8 spinal surgeries whilst working full time and looking after my children. And now I know why, because my body was telling me to slow down. It was telling me just slow down. It'd be one operation, another, another. And I just didn't listen.
Right.
Just constantly you put your big girl pants on. You know what you like when you're a single parent and you've got a career, and I had a few side hustles. And then I got promoted. And then 13 years later, after becoming single, I met the man of my dreams. I manifested this awesome human being into my life, and everything was going absolutely the best it possibly could. And then I just had this terrible mental health challenges. I was very depressed. I had massive anxiety. I think I was perimenopausal. So you interweave that in with balancing a big career. I've just been promoted to an inspector in the police, which is huge amounts of responsibility in the UK police force. I had my children, but they were really settled. But everything actually was going really, really well. And I was really, really sad. It's just like every day was just so sad. And I can remember going to the doctors and she said, I blame your husband. I said, what do you mean you blame my husband? And she said, you are now safe to heal. She said, you have been fight and flight for 20 years. You are now safe to heal. And I thought, gosh, that's really profound. And I was really impressed that a doctor was so insightful. And so I just went on, then I just started, this was about 8 years ago. So I just started on this wellness journey. I'd always been interested in well-being. I've been to retreats, I've tried juicing, but my weight, I had big problems with my weight. It'd go up 4 stone, down 4 stone, up 5 stone, down 3 stone. It was a very, very fluctuating weight issue I had. But also I mainly had to concentrate on my mental health. So I was introduced to Reiki, to heal myself and to heal others. I was then introduced to the power of the breath and meditation and mindfulness. And and then all these beautiful methodologies just merged to help me. And one day I was on a retreat and I can remember saying to this cohort I was with, I know what I'm going to do when I leave the police. I'm going to run my own space, my own wellness retreats. And this was like 7 years ago. And
Yeah.
what's really interesting now, we're off to Italy in a few weeks. And one of the ladies I said that to on the retreat is actually coming with a friend. It's just like how things happen. It's tremendous. So yeah, so I just learned all these skills. And what I wanted to do is just to provide beautiful, authentic spaces where I can share what I love. And so that's when my business evolved 3 years ago when I left policing. I could have stayed because I'd started a contract with them as a police staff in a big managerial position. But I thought, no, this is my time now to make my mark on the world. And yeah, we relocated 200 miles away from where we lived, moved to a house on the sea, and we've set this beautiful space up. And I've been invited onto an international breathwork app. I've done my Reiki master. I love I've got ice baths and spa garden, and all these beautiful things have just not fallen in my lap, because obviously I'm working incredibly hard, but things just arrive and deliver, and when you're on your path, and it's just been unbelievable journey.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's add in, you worked incredibly hard, because I've watched you and I've watched your consistency and your devotion and your willingness to be seen and to lead by example. And I think that's been your whole life. But shifting gears and claiming something, moving 200 miles, leaving a career that could have set you up the rest of your life, and said, I'm being called to do this. That is, I would call that bold and audacious, and not very many people, and I work with thousands, do that. They're
No,
terrified. They're
absolutely.
terrified of the unknown, of, well, what if I do this? And here's the security, and they just can't make that decision. What was the catalyst that said, I'm doing it. I'm cutting in. This is my opportunity.
And it was, yeah, and actually it was really brave, because having been employed for 30 years, you know what it's like when
Yeah.
you're like really pushing the bound, my
Yeah.
fear. And I've just got this mental attitude now that I just want to run in the face of fear. Give me a challenge and I'm going to run into it. I'm not going to run away. And it's just amazing. And what's the worst can happen? It doesn't work out. But I've
Yeah.
just, things that don't work out. And when I make mistakes, and I like to make mistakes, that's when I learn. I don't want it to be easy, because
Yeah.
you just the most boring person and never learn anything. But there's so much growth from
Yeah,
making
knows we're playing it safe. If life is perfect, we are playing it so safe. We're not
mistakes.
breathing. We're certainly not dropping into our body and feeling all the feels, because life
Yeah,
is friggin' messy. So, when I watched you, I not only watched you lose weight, but I watched you transform and become like a bodybuilder too. I'm like, she isn't just losing. How much did you end up losing in American, I know stones, if we
well,
translate that into pounds, what would that be?
112 pounds.
112 pounds for all of the Americans listening. And of course, I'm international, so they're all over but 112 pounds you lost. And then you decided you were going to build muscle in
Yeah,
your strength training. I mean, there's where I really leaned in, because as you know, on my journey, I get, you watched me gain and then lose. And then it's like, now it's like, okay, I have to start the strength training. It has to be. Health is everything. And without strength and muscle, doesn't matter what I do. I set myself up for getting injured. And at this age, there's more injuries that can come. So I love the fact, what motivated you? I mean, it was so incredible to watch you. I mean, I was
mm,
literally watching your muscles build.
yeah. Like the weight loss for me was, there was a couple of catalysts. Like I'd struggled with my weight for a long time, and
Yeah.
I'd be able to lose and gain and lose and gain. And it got to the stage where you really need to be an 8 out of 10 before you make some significant changes in your life. If you're a 6 out of 10, you can just about cope with what's going on. When you become an 8 or a 9 out of 10, you think, right, now I need to make some significant changes. And I went on to an event, and it was really interesting, because they asked us to do our 75-year-old self is talking to us now, and I hadn't planned my weight loss journey. My 75-year-old self was really, really slim, and said, thank you for looking after me. I thought, God,
Ah,
where has that come from? And I can remember saying to
ah.
my friend, and then I went away, and my mum was dying of Parkinson's, so I knew my
Oh,
mum
I'm
probably
sorry for that.
had a lot of time left, and I know I needed to be my best version to get through that and to support my
Right.
family. but also I was starting to look after my grandchild as well. And, being, I was 18 and a half stone, 8 stone, over 112 pounds overweight. I just thought I need to be fitter to look after my granddaughter. So there's a couple of things that really thought it's now I have to do this. I found myself a coach who I had to be really accountable to. And then I was and it is really hard when you've got
he doesn't mess around.
he does not mess.
He doesn't mess around.
And I'm a strong woman and I can bullshit the best, okay?
Yeah.
Shit a bullshitter. So it was a case of I needed someone that could look straight through me and think, I've heard this a million times before.
Yep.
If you don't lose weight, it's because you're putting too much in your mouth. That's the bottom. It's so simple.
Yeah, I love what he says. Every now and then I tap in just to like drop into that audacious like truth. It's just like he doesn't hold anything back, and I'm offended, and I'm leaning in even more. Like I got my water bottle. Tell me more. Tell me more. Yeah.
Scott Francis, but it was so I found him. It took me about 5 months to reach out because I was petrified of him. I thought, no, this is what I need. And it is a really lonely place, as you know. You've lost a significant amount of weight, and you just think, God, because people want results overnight. The way I've got 30 years of bad relationship with food, so I'm not going to cure it overnight. So I just got up, and each day was day one, and I said, post, rinse and repeat each day, and you just keep repeating. So each day is day one. So you don't look back thinking, oh, look how much I've lost. That's amazing. No, you're looking forward, and each day is day. Otherwise, you're never going to. And I just keep moving, and I just couldn't believe it. The first time in my life I've been able to. I use food as fuel now, and I do enjoy eating, but it's never. It gives me my dopamine. Now it gives me my fuel, and I found other things for the happy hormone, not the chocolate and the binging. And then I just keep going and going. And so obviously you get to a stage where you get really lean, and then I just wanted to get stronger, because when you're in your muscle is longevity. I want to be strong. I want to be able to crouch down, pick my granddaughter up. I want to be able to lift things. I want to be able to open a jar in my 80s. My dad's 84 and he helped us lift a ton of logs the other day. I want to be healthy for my old age. And so and I think when you change that mindset to, I don't want to look amazing, obviously looking lovely and being able to wear clothes comfortably is a byproduct, but what was this time was the wellness and just the strength. And just being leaner and stronger and happier.
It's amazing how when you say that, I can completely relate to that. It wasn't about being skinny anymore and looking great. I just couldn't do that one more time. I just had to have health and wellness. I just had to change my relationship with everything, even at the top of my game. It was like, yep, here I go again. I'm diving back in, and I'm going to disassemble some things that I've set up and some trauma that I've stored. And I'm going to heal that part of me and move through it and have a different relationship. And I watched you do that so brilliantly. And the fact that you committed to building muscle. And I'm like, is she now a bodybuilder? Because she is building muscle.
It is coming. I get really excited about it. Oh, look at this. And my niece's little nigger, we all compare muscles. It's just a bit of fun. But it's just nice to see that even in my 50s, middle 50s, you can start to develop muscle if you're eating the right food and you're just working really hard. It's amazing. I never thought in a million years I would be able to look like I do. I just didn't think it was ever possible for me. I was always told I'm Big Jen, always the big friend. We'd all go out in our 20s and our 30s, and everyone would be saying, oh, you look beautiful, you look sexy, but people would say to me, oh, your hair looks nice.
And you did say that. I was known as I wrote it down here. You didn't say big friend, but I was the funny big friend. I was the funny big friend, and I put it in bold because did you identify that, well, I'm just going to be even funnier, and this is how I'm going to show up, a funny big friend?
Yeah, totally. I always make everybody laugh. Yeah, always. You hide. I used to hide behind my hair, which I've just chopped off, even though it doesn't look that short. But my hair
was great.
I'd hide behind everyone else in the photograph, but I always made everybody laugh. And I was always I still am the matriarch, the person that everyone would come to, dealing with everybody else's crises and then putting mine. I just didn't want to worry about my own problems because they're far. If I worry about everybody else, but then constantly putting myself at the bottom and not.
But isn't that what a police inspector does too? You are there you're in service. It's in service. And everything comes before your health, before your sleep. Everything comes in fixing. But it's justice. Here you are, you're committed to justice. And with justice, there's the scales of balance. And
Mhm.
that pendulum, when it swung for you, boy, it swung. And it just says, I'm not doing this anymore. And it's very, I'm going to say, it is unusual to see someone grab a hold and execute at the level you did. And
Mm.
what would you, so tell me, you've talked about the catalysts and what brought you here, but give me a play by play in your life, your everyday life of what this looks like to be in the what did your day to day look like as a police officer and an investigator, 30 years, and what does it look like now? And let's drop into the emotional components of what you felt and what you were
So I
dealing
think, so when I was in the police, it was on always about, and obviously, firstly, my wings were very, very tight. My wings were clipped. So, and I always what led with my heart, and I was a manager, and I always really, really cared about my staff, and I really cared about the environment that I provided. But I didn't care enough about myself. There wasn't much love for myself, and I think that's where the most significant thing has. And I know a coach said to me, no flower grew without love. And that is just so true. So that was one of the, so there was not the love for myself when I was in policing. There was a love for everybody else and the love for my children. And I was just balancing just a really, really busy life with shifts. And the responsibility was monstrous. But I found that, you give me a firearms incident, give me a really serious missing person inquiry, absolutely fine. But the dishwasher broke down or something really small happened, that would really tip me over.
unravel you. Yeah.
It's just really bizarre, isn't it? You can deal with massive things. And the beginning of my mental health strains was insomnia. So I would just struggle to sleep, and I would go to bed and I'd be awake throughout the entire night. Then I'd have to get out of bed in the morning, take black coffee, turn up at work, having not slept at all. It was so, so bad. And that's a big one of my pushes now about how I can help people sleep with my meditation and my breath and my online stuff.
Right.
So that's a big driver behind, and that really established our business, really. Luxury bedrooms, the linen was most important, the sleep hygiene. But yeah, so it was just complete chaos, absolute chaos. And my nervous system was constantly on fight and flight. And I didn't even realize I felt that's how you felt all the time, constantly thinking about the future, fretting about the past, never in the moment. And like my mother always said to me, Jennifer, stop planning, live in the moment. If only she knew now what I do, it's just like amazing. So it was just chaos. However, I was really, really good at what I was doing. And I'm, really proud of my policing career, but my internal narrative was really terrible, terrible.
Isn't it amazing that our journeys are so similar in the fact that what I did for years working for a lobbyist company was without that internal chaos, I could not have achieved what I did.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Always
It
in.
just was just, and now I look at it like I wouldn't even know how to show up but I know what I would say to that girl that
Yeah.
did all that. But
Yeah.
I have such love and compassion for that internal chaos and that self-abandon, that constant self-abandonment. And
Yes.
I saw you, it was like I saw the moment when you stopped self-abandoning and you
Yeah.
just started seeing
Yeah.
yourself clearly and feeding yourself,
Yes.
and was there a big, like we talked about, kind of like a big wake up moment where you're like, I'm never going back.
I think probably when I knew that sort of it's 7 years ago that I knew what my path was, when I discovered all these different modalities of the breath and the ice and everything. I just knew that I was never going back. But I went back, so I retired in 2020 and I went back for a year to manage this big program of work. I was still really loyal to the organization,
Yeah.
but I knew then I had made the decision. And it was a big risk because I stopped big wage, and my husband the same month was changing contracts. So we literally went from two big wages to no money at
Were you
all.
terrified?
Absolutely.
Or were you in trust? Were you
I was
terrified in trust or just
really
terrified?
finally trusting something, but
Yeah.
and it was just after COVID, and then we started off with a little holiday business, and the cottage was just busy, busy, busy. So it was absolutely fine, and that was great. But it's constantly up and down. But yeah, so that was chaos. And then I was working on my mental health, and I knew I had to really address that before I could worry about my physical. So when I started, a big wake up moments when I started my wellness, and I was running retreats. And I was running these beautiful, safe spaces, nurturing people. People were coming in frazzled and leaving, floating literally out the door completely. But I still had this terrible internal narrative. And I used to ever, because I was really overweight. And I can remember saying to Chris, gosh, I feel a fraudster. And he goes, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm running these events and I'm so overweight myself. And he says, but it's so much more than that. And it is the weight. But I can remember saying to my ladies and my clients, I am on a journey. And if you stay on my train, you will see my journey. And like 4 years later, I have people that started on my retreat at the beginning and back each year, and they go, oh my God, and fired, and then they're following a similar journey. And then it's just been wonderful. But yeah, it started with the love as well. And just, and then the biggest change I would say now is, well, firstly, I don't cry when I look in the mirror. That's a big change. I couldn't look in the mirror. I could not look in the mirror naked. And at all. I just couldn't. It just would horrify me. I couldn't go to changing rooms without crying. I couldn't fit in any clothes. I was a really large 22 tight. I don't know if that's the same sizes. There are a couple of sizes. You're a couple of sizes up, aren't you? So I think that's probably I don't know, 26. It's a really big size.
Yeah.
But the internal narrative is gone. These voices which were in my head, 85%, saying really horrible things to me. You wouldn't say it to your worst enemy. Have all gone.
Well, it's so interesting that you say 85%, because 85% of our subconscious, is repetitive, and it is 85% that is negative, that just replays in this subconscious of 160,000 minimum thoughts a day, in all of that. And now it's gone because you've done and you've incorporated modalities that worked. You just chose things that supported and worked. And what would you have to say to someone who's listening to this right now and they're struggling, and they've lost and they've gained, and they might be depressed? And with depression, a lot of times we don't talk about it. There's a lot of discomfort in mental health issues where we don't share the dark times of the shadow work. People are very surprised when I say, hey, it's a tough time. They're like, oh, and they want to fix it immediately. I'm like, no, there's no spiritual bypassing. This is just a tough season. And this is my time to have a tough season. And I'm okay with that. Not every day do I wake up and it's like, ooh, it's sunshine and I'm going to smell the roses. I just choose to do the consistency with them and that. But what would you say to the people that are struggling right now?
I would say that that's human life, which you probably don't want to hear. We're not all happy all of the time. And for me, it's just about, if we can gain some peace, all you should be striving for is some peace. And the first thing you do is really start to love yourself. And that can be really hard when you don't like what you look at, when you can't fit in your clothes, when you're struggling to do your shoes up and you just have no energy. But you must start with just loving yourself like you'd love a small child, or like you'd love your best friend. Start with the love. And then just place your hand on your heart space and just try and reconnect your heart, your mind, and your body, and just start sending some love. And then just take each day as it comes. Like, I was 54 when I started this journey. I was 54 and 115 pounds overweight. Okay. So anything is possible. It's, and I know it's just, as we said, this conversation before, it's like age is merely a vibration. I want to be doing CrossFit in my 80s. I will be doing in my 80s.
You will be, because you have not only rewritten your story, you just illuminate and your vibration of energy. I have no doubt, because I've not only watched you do it, but I've watched you for a long time. And there's a core strength within you. What do you say to the women that don't think they have that? And they've told themselves stories for so long, and there's so much repetition, and they're just like, well, she did it, but I can't. What do you have to say to them?
And it is really interesting, because I do coach clients that actually say the same.
Yeah.
The reality is, the thoughts you have aren't your thoughts. Very few thoughts we have going around in our head are actually ours. If you actually stop and think, most of them have been given to us as a child through societal expectations. So actually, it's about starting with the mindset. But I started with positive affirmations. So that was my very first part of my journey. Was I started my little Instagram, and every single day I do a positive quote. This is before I did have no idea.
I remember you tagged me in them for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And back way back.
Way back, we're talking 7 years ago. It's just like way back. And I never realized, but slowly working on your mindset, positive, living in the moment, Forget about the past. Don't worry about the future. Just be in the moment. And anything is possible, and just be kind to yourself. You have to display self-compassion, and it's not there because actually it doesn't help anyone, but it's just that real authentic love and kindness and forgiveness. Like my bigger self, I love that person more than I love anyone in the world, because she looked after me. My body looked after me. It didn't make me ill. It didn't give me diabetes. I was really lucky. I had no health issues whatsoever. My body was just waiting for my heart to catch up and start to care. And so I love.
Oh, let's slow down around that. My body was just waiting for my heart to catch up and care. I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely, I mean, you know that that's the premise I live by, but that is, I felt that, you know,
Mm,
and I love the fact that you have honored that heart energy, and it just illuminates everywhere you show up. You know,
mm,
you can you embody it, and
mm.
not only do you live it, but it's that was huge. Not to cut you off, but it's like, let's slow down around that, because people listen to that, rewind, listen, might want to write that one down. That, you
Definitely.
know, yeah, your body
Yeah.
was waiting for your heart energy to catch up. It was waiting for you to see the value and love in different versions of yourself. And I love the fact that you said, and I love her the most,
I
because
do. She
that
was
she got me here.
honest.
And
She's ballsy and brave, and for that woman to
yeah,
say, right now we're going to make some changes. That woman was
yeah,
absolutely petrified about making those changes, because when you started with the coach, which we both were very fond of, you had to take photographs in underwear, front, side, and back. Like I
yes,
photos for 2 weeks. I couldn't even send them to him because I was so horrified about what I could
yeah,
see. And then in the end, but now it's just a love. I love that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just.
Shame is a powerful, you know, shame allows us to hide and not share and not make movement, because we've
Mm,
told ourselves these stories that aren't true.
they're not
And
true.
and he isn't judging. He's there to see it and motivate and help. And but it's our relationship and connection too. And I love the fact that you did it, you broke through, and
Mm,
perhaps we could share those on here as well. Share some of your journey, and like, because I know people are going to be like looking you up, and we're going to tell you where you can find her and how you can work with her and how you can probably hang out in her cottage too, if you desire it. Hey, I have a question. I The funny big friend thing, I used to get, oh, you little lame duck, because I was always, that was what people called me. Oh, you little lame duck. I'm left-handed. I write backwards. And no matter what I did, I would downplay anything I would do. I would set records. I'd be a genius at a lot of things. And I downplay it because I had to catch up to the fact I showed up with a lot of big energy, but it was too much for a lot of people. So I would make myself feel very small, and I would, you know, make sure that they didn't think too much of me. See, and then they would call me, oh, you little lame duck. And you got the funny big friend. What do they call you now? No one calls me a lame duck anymore, by the way.
no, they call me a warrior, and that's why
Yeah.
as thing is wiped out. Somebody said to me, "You are a warrior," and I've
Yeah.
inspired my closest friends to make some massive life changes. Some of them say, "Oh, I don't want to see you. You're looking too good," which is quite funny. It's, oh my god,
Did your friendships change at all? Were there
I,
women that didn't support you or showed up and you thought, wow, I'm not getting the support and the love that I need?
no, I found that I have got a new group, but I have still have
Yeah.
my friends in my life for like 30, 40, 20 years. But then I have met a lot of new people on this journey,
Yeah.
which has been really lovely, sort of similar energy, same interests. And
Yeah.
that's, you have to surround yourself. And that's another thing I'd say to anyone that says, I can't make changes, it's too big, I can't. One of the really important things that you surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
If your friends are trying to encourage you to come off plan, or to eat bad food, or to have a glass, or just,
Mm.
you're supposed to be really looking after yourself, you need to remove yourself from them until you're in a space that you can just. So there is some friends that I just avoided. And because I just knew that our relationship is such, eating food, drinking alcohol, and I just didn't want that in my life. So they're still there, but I didn't see
Yeah.
so much. And they wouldn't
Yeah.
really made the connection. That's why I haven't, because it's just easier
Yeah.
when you're 100 miles away.
Yeah.
But you have to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
100%. It's so important, because there's a lot of people out there, and it's really interesting that nobody said anything to me when I was literally one sandwich away from a heart attack being absolutely massive. No one ever commented. But the moment you're on your journey and you're watching your calories and you're looking after yourself, every man and their dog has got a comment. Everyone's got an opinion, and actually, it's nobody else's opinion. You just listen to your coach, and you just listen to your advisors around you. I
Yeah.
don't know what anyone else says. People have said to me, "You're not on enough calories." I
Oh,
don't.
I know.
It's worked for me. I
Or you're
mean,
losing too much weight.
oh my
You
god,
know,
Jane,
yeah, I
that's
hear that now. No one said a word to me when I was, absolutely
no, no,
bulging out of my clothes at the height. Yeah.
yeah,
And now
and
you're losing too much weight. Your face is too thin.
yeah,
You're going to look older if your face gets too thin. And I'm like, really?
yeah,
Well, I could die of a heart attack as well if I had
absolutely.
kept those pounds on. And yeah, it is definitely a personal, you got to stay in that personal lane of really protecting.
You'd have to protect you really have to protect, because I almost had to
Yeah.
become, I don't know if it's the right thing, well, but for me, I had to become completely and not obsessed, but you just had to be 100% on it.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
you have to be 1,000% committed, and it is a little bit of a necessity. Well, and you know what I think it's an intention. When you
it's
set an intention and you're consistent with that, it means that there's no break in integrity with self,
yeah,
and it's very easy, I think, to say, oh, I'm just going to go out, or I don't think I went out for a year. And, and I took a lot of heat for that, but I thought I've never drank, so I don't really go out anyway. I was kind of cut out of those social situations anyway, and I never judged. I've just never drank. And it's just like, do your thing. But when you don't go out on girls' night and drink wine, you're kind of left out. So but when going out to dinner, I'm just like, you know what? I would just prefer to stay on my simple plan of what I've put in place because it's working and I don't
mhm,
want to throw myself off with this rhythm. So I think I was honoring the rhythm of life and you get
yes,
into this rhythm that starts to build momentum and I don't want to I didn't want to kink in the system. I mean it's hard enough that I travel so much and
yeah,
and you're in airports and you're starving and you're like, where can I get a clean smoothie or a protein? You have to be very prepared all the time, which takes energy and thought to stay
absolutely.
prepared. It doesn't just randomly happen. We don't just fall into it and say, well, it just happened. And then I just decided to cold plunge. And then I just decided to, build a wellness business because it felt good. What's next for you? What does this wellness business look like now? What is a day in the life now? We talked about what it was like before. What is it like now? And what are you building out?
So now we've got a beautiful space here in West Wales, which is in the UK on the sea. And so for me, I run classes. I run events. So when people come to me with their friends, and I do the breath work, the meditation, the healing, ice bath experience, hot tub. So the big things that are coming up, which I'm really excited about, we're turning our garden. We've got a harbour garden, and it's going to become a spa, and it's going to be
Mm.
contrast therapy, and it's going to be open for the community. And the sauna is arriving on Monday, and so we'll have two ice plunges, hot tub and a sauna, and then there'll be a chill zone with a fire pit and herbal teas, and then I
Wow.
can contrast therapy. So we're sort of collaborating with the local hotels, local gyms, and they're going to be sending their members. And so I'm really excited about that space. And there's going to be sort of supporting carers and lots of different things for that. And I'm also about to launch an online space and membership. So my vision is, because sleep was a real problem for me, is
Mm.
I want is come to bed with Jen, and I want
Oh.
over 1,000 people in their beds underneath all their little duvets with their fresh pajamas on, and I'm going to just stories and meditation and breath work to send everyone to sleep. I do this with a few private clients at the moment. They actually meet me in their in bed and the candles are going and it's just a beautiful environment, and they sleep like babies after they've had an hour of me. So this is what we're
Oh,
launching.
I can
So
feel that.
I,
That is so heart-centered. It's amazing how you were brave enough to not only live your life, but share it and connect to something that really matters to you.
mm,
That sleep matters and you focused on that. And this is where I see people becoming successful because they just say, this is the area that changes everything. And I love the fact I don't know anyone out there doing this. I don't know
yeah.
anyone out there that has decided to, but I can feel it. And being me who I am, I can see it. And I'm like, ooh, and I can feel the energy around it expansive. And I'm like, bravo,
So
bravo.
excited. So we're setting on the online platform, and the first 100 people can have it for a session each week for under $20. And then it will, after the 100, then it's obviously going to go up. But yeah, so to make it, so if anyone is interested, then they will just have to DM me, and as soon as it's launched, and it's going to be live, and then it'll be recorded, so people then can just listen to it throughout the week and take me to bed every night. And I've got
love
some
that.
friends
Well,
who
we'll
take.
have to revisit this in a year and we'll say, remember when you had this
Yeah,
idea and you were going to do and now look at it. This is this magnificent app and
it
Calm
could.
picked it up. Everyone picked it up. And yeah, I love it. Make sure that you get a an LLC, a patent, all the good stuff on that to make sure that you claim this immediately.
Yeah,
There's a little immediately. Yeah, I love the idea. So last question. What feels like love in your life right now?
my granddaughter is
Mm,
unconditional love. For me, peace is love. Just, and I don't expect to be giggling all the time. And I know there's days where I have anxiety and there's days, but just peace gives me the capacity to love myself and then also love others. So, but the biggest love is my granddaughter. I cannot explain the love. When I sit
mm.
and we just sat with her, cuddling her, sat on a grass field. I don't need anything material. I just need just
Connection.
connection. Yeah, it's connection, definitely. Yeah.
Wow.
So I've
What
heard
a
about,
beautiful story.
yeah,
Your beautiful life, beautiful story, beautiful transformation. You know, I just want everyone to know, give Jennifer a follow. Go look at her story. You can't help but be inspired and fall in love with her like I did. Where can they find you next? Tell us how they can find you, what's going on. Do you think more things coming up than what we just shared? Let's
yeah. So I've
share
got
people how they can connect with you.
retreats in Italy. So I go to a beautiful place called Pescara, just outside in Abruzzo region. I know you go to Italy as well. We should go
Yeah.
to each
I
retreats.
know, I know. I'm going to a different part this year. I'm going to Northern, and I've just decided I may not because I'm walking the Camino, and it's just too tight. And I thought I might skip a year of doing a retreat.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
yeah. Imagine that. Yeah. So and take going there for 2 weeks in Italy, which is amazing. And what's so
Oh,
special?
2 weeks. You're doing 2 weeks.
So we're doing
W-
two retreats back to
Oh,
back.
two retreats, not a 2 week retreat.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Two
two.
back to back.
But,
Lovely.
but what's beautiful is that 80% that are coming came last year, and they're bringing their friends.
Oh,
So that's
brilliant.
much. So my lots of my clients have keep coming and coming and coming. So I've
Nothing better than that than to have a repeat and people stay and come back. So are there spots open for
yeah,
listeners that are saying, because I
there's
just declared that I don't think I'm doing a retreat this year. There could be a retreat open.
absolutely
Is there?
yes. So 14th to the 19th, and then the 22nd to the 27th of June. And my yoga teacher is beautiful. She comes from Chicago, and we're flying her out from New York to
Oh,
come.
fabulous.
So I met her in Costa Rica and I was doing my restorative yoga training, and she's an absolute goddess. And then the second week we've got a personal trainer coming as well, just to add a little bit of spice to what we're doing. It's
Yeah.
just so we love doing that. And then also I have a few spaces coming opened for one-to-ones as well. So I do one-to-ones where people, and lots of people come to me for like the accountability, the wellness, the breath work, meditation, either the menopause, overwhelm, anxiety, sleep issues, just helped, so we're doing some one-to-ones as well.
Great.
And then if anyone wants to come to the UK, we can look after them and get them in the ice.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know. I was just having a conversation yesterday and I said, I think I'm more of a sauna person. I have not been inclined to jump into the ice shed. I admire it. I've been focused on it. I have followed Wim Hof forever and have met him, and I'm just, but I don't feel called to do that. And there was a push and pull for a while. Like I need to do this, and I'm like, no, I don't. I don't have to do it, but I do desire to at least try it.
I
I
think it'd
just,
be just to try it
yeah, I'm
because,
gonna try it. I just don't like to be cold.
and I'd go sort of to 8 to 10 degrees, so that's absolutely fine for your first dip. And
Yeah.
what's a real sweet spot for the dopamine? So that will increase your dopamine by 250%.
Ooh, I
Just to,
like that. I
yeah,
like that. And I
like that.
just heard that women don't need it as cold as men, and I'm like, oh, I like that even better. We don't have to have it as cold.
No, you
Yeah,
don't
just
have.
I think it was a Harvard research that just came out I was reading because I've been fascinated with it.
It
And
is fun.
yeah.
And then the hotter the heat as well. There's so many benefits from the sauna as well. So they
Yeah.
say it's a
Yeah.
cold, 56 minutes of hot over a week period is just can reduce your chances of heart disease by over some ridiculous like 65% or whatever. It's just incredible.
Wow.
You coincide that with your weight training and you're sort of, concentrating on your and then your healthy eating, and it just really sets you up for just a healthier older
Love
life.
it.
Yeah. And
I know. I
yeah.
love that. And I'm a statistics junkie. I love percentages and statistics because I
Mm,
think the scientific backing, you know,
so much
matters
respect.
to me. It gives you that little bit of extra information that it's not just hypothetical, because a lot of times we can't measure energy or faith or any of the things that I delve into all the time. But there is now measurements on energy. There is now measurements on meditation and what the body and how it responds. So, yeah, I'm all for that. Jennifer Bailey-Hobbs, I adore you. I thank you
Thank
for showing up today. I love our connection. I have no doubt that we're not going to meet in perhaps the UK, perhaps here, but I know it will be sometime in the next year. I can feel that. And anytime you ever need anything, you just, whistle.
thank you.
You're amazing. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today. Make sure to give Jennifer a follow. If you reach out, you will never regret connecting with her. She is a beautiful soul. She's as beautiful and as lovely as you've seen here. And again, thank you for just joining us on this conversation today. Bye, everyone.